Hey everybody, today I am doing the second layout in a series that I'm doing with Rachel Reynolds called Work the Line, and today we have both chosen to work with Paige Evans Fancy Free. Now it's an older collection, but I have a ton of papers left, not very many embellishments. So I showed you that circle paper, and I'm going to show you how you can make embellishments even when you don't have a lot of pre-made embellishments. I am also going to end up adding a few things to it as well. So I'm working with some papers here trying to decide what to do, and I chose that black paper there. It's Paige Evans, or Pink Paisley, I should say, Fancy Free by Paige Evans. So Pink Paisley Fancy Free, and that black paper is paper number 8. And I originally had this was an Instagram photo, and I originally had a black border around it, but it didn't print equally, so I knew I wanted to put a black border around it. So that worked great. And I'm going to use that aqua colored background paper there. That is, I'm sorry, it is a paper number that I did not write down. I have the paper pad, so I don't have numbers. I have to go searching for them, and I didn't write that one down, so I apologize for that, but that is Fancy Free. Now, I'm going to use some strips here. I just saw a Chamel video where she used 2 strips, and that's been in my mind ever since I saw it, so I'm not really lifting her layout, but I am lifting the strip idea. And I like the yellow lined paper there. That is paper number 5, because there's a yellow parasailer up in the corner, the right corner there, and and that was one of the reasons I took this photo, or the reason I took this photo, was because of the parasailer. And there's a boat in the ocean to the left that's going to be a little bit harder to see, but anyway, I liked how that yellow paper just brought that out. And then I picked this polka dot paper, which is paper number 4. And the reason I did that is because I liked how happy and playful it was. And you saw me there, I was playing a little bit to see how narrow I wanted to go with the strip there. And I went back to the wider one and then just cut a little bit off of it. Sorry about that, guys. That was my phone. Anyway. So I went to the wide paper and then just cut some, and the papers are a little bit, you know, one is a little bit shorter than the other. When Chamel did this, she was using 4x6 photos, and I'm using a square photo, so it's changing it a little bit. And now I am going to my embellishment pack, my die cut pack, trying to see what I could use here. I have some acrylics left from the pack. That's what I mostly have left because I find them hard to use, and I have frames left because I find those hard to use. But almost everything else is gone. So I was playing around with the word So Happy there in the bottom right. You'll see that. I'm playing around with this frame. I wish I could have made this work because I like the frame. It just did not work right though. So I'm going to play with that a little bit. I have a clear tag there, and I took a So Happy die cut and thought about putting that on there maybe. That didn't work, or it's not going to work. And then I have this rubber feather from the Amy Tangerine Oh Happy Life rubber shapes, and I only had that one rubber shape left, so I am actually going to use that on this layout because I like the color. I like the kind of corally pink there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that word circle paper there, and that's paper number 3, and I am going to use those to make embellishments here. And I'm kind of playing around. The one circle says Cool Beans and the other one says High Five. So I'm kind of playing with doing something. That one says, if I remember correctly, it says Oh No. I end up not using that one. So, and I'm cutting out circles that seem to be appropriate to the theme of this layout. Now, the one thing I didn't like is I didn't like thinking about, I didn't want the same colors in each cluster exactly. So I'm playing around again with that High Five there, but I don't like that there's 2 aquas there, or a blue and a green that is almost an aqua-y green. There's another circle that I cut there, and that's Oh Hey You. And now I'm thinking about what I'm going to journal on. So I'm using one of the journaling cards from the cut apart sheet there, but that's not going to make it. Instead, I find this tag, and I created this tag from the number 10 paper. I just cut another tag. I think I actually used that, maybe used that acrylic tag right there as a template. So that's a good hint, you know, if you want to, or just cut a tag yourself. So that's another way that even if you don't have a lot of embellishments left from a collection, you can use your paper to be the embellishments here. All right, so then I found a circle that says heck yes, and I'm going to use that. And then I found another one that says rise and shine, which doesn't have a ton to do with this, but it was in the morning, and it was like kind of one of our first views of the day, and the guy was rising because he was parasailing. So I don't know, you know, a stretch, but it seemed appropriate to me. Now I found that circle up there, and that says crazy kids. So that is so perfect. One of the things I talk about in my journaling is that I've always thought parasailing would be cool, and then I saw what they really did, and I'm thinking maybe that's not so cool. So I'm going to ink the edges of all of these circles with my Memento Dewdrop gray flannel ink there. I've talked about this before, but I really like that ink because it's dark without being black, so it's not quite so stark. I use this one a ton, and I like to use this on this Fancy Free collection, and I also like to use it quite a bit when I use Elle Studio products too. The black can be so stark with some of these collections, and this doesn't feel stark to me at all. All right, so I'm just inking those up, and I just want to get a nice sort of mix there with the tag. I want to make sure that I'm not leaving any trapped white space there. So I was pretty, you know, I looked at that, so I've taken care of that. And I'm inking again. So just kind of looking at how I'm spacing things, I want to make sure that the circles don't end at the same point that one of the paper strips does. So you're going to see me kind of play around that a little bit with the bottom right cluster. And I don't want two of the circles to be the same height either, ending at the same height. So you'll see me play around with that a little bit with the top left cluster here as I'm doing right now. So I'm just making sure that that Crazy Kids is lower than the high 5 circle as I'm putting this on. Now I've used these circles before as embellishments, and sometimes when I've done this, I've popped some of them up on foam tape. It just wasn't as appropriate here because I was tucking them in to in around the picture. In this collection, there's a circle paper without any writing on it, and I've used that paper, and then I've punched out these circles and popped a few of those up with the sayings onto the paper. So that's another really kind of fun way you could use this. Or if you had 2 sheets of these paper, which I ended up with 2 paper pads, I could do that even with the ones with writing to kind of highlight them. So just some ideas there, again, about making embellishments when you don't have a lot of embellishments left for a particular collection. Now, I'm sure most of us have more stash than we know what to do with, or, well, we know what to do with it, but more stash than, you know, in my case, than I really truly need. So I can use other embellishments here, but the point was to use as much of these collections as possible. And like I said, I'm going to go away from that just a little bit, but the main part of my layouts are of this layout is definitely this Fancy Free collection. All right, so now I have my circles down there. I'm going to come back and I'm going to play with that feather just a little bit there. And I'm looking here, I grabbed my Elle Studio Sunny Days Bits and Pieces, which is their ephemera pack. It's actually another collection that Rachel and I had talked about using, but it seems to work really well with this Fancy Free collection. And I found that adventure banner there, and I'm going to use that, which obviously that's pretty appropriate because it is an adventure. And I'm playing to see if I can find anything else, and I don't from that ephemera pack. But I do have these Dear Lizzie Saturdays puffy stickers that were sitting on my desk from another layout that I had worked on. And so I I want to match some of the height and texture of that rubber element. So I'm going to grab that yellow ampersand there and put that on my layout in the upper cluster. And I don't know, it doesn't have a ton to do with this layout, except that, you know, Crazy Kids, oh hey you know, high five, whatever, those are an and thing. But it's really for the texture that I wanted it. And sometimes you just have to do that as a scrapbooker. Now, I've gone back to my Elle Studio Sunny Days collection, this time to the wood veneers. And I have this wood veneer that says awesome, but it broke in half. So I'm having to figure out how to put it back together. And I'll just glue it onto my layout as one piece here. You can kind of tell that it's broken apart, but it's not really that big of a deal. And I grabbed my Elle Studio letters and numbers in teal, and I'm going to make the title of this Crazy Awesome, because it is kind of crazy that they're doing this, but it's also really super awesome. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my Cutter Bee tweezers there to get my letters on, just so that I can get them placed right. Makes it easy to see them, but it also helps because I have very short fingernails, as you've probably heard before if you've ever heard my videos before. So that's why I use these. And these are old. They're missing one of the little pieces, one of the little pads that you put your fingers on, just because mine are so old. But they do make these still. And actually now they make them so that glue doesn't stick to them, because glue does stick to mine. So that's one thing you can look for. All right, so you see there where I'm just kind of getting I'm going to use my ATG to actually put this wood veneer down. You can use your Scotch Quick Dry on this if you have it, but I find that I have my ATG handy and it does a really nice job of sticking these down. Sometimes I've had wood veneers pop off. Now, the one thing that I'm kind of looking at here is I have that one wood veneer, and I'm not loving just the one wood veneer. So I'm thinking about what I'm going to do about that, but in the meantime, I know I want to put some twine into that tag, so I'm going to grab my We Are Memory Keepers So Easy floss, and I now have a little bit of twine in that teal color there. So I was just pointing there to that wood veneer, that I need to find something to make that not look like it sticks out all by itself on my layout. And so I'm kind of looking, I have my embellishments in hardware boxes there, and I'm looking at that. And I found these old Studio Calico. I think they're really flowers, but I often use these as suns, because this particular one in that type looks like a sun. So I'm going to play with placement here a little bit. I'm going to end up with 3 in total on the page. At first I was trying to put a couple in each cluster, but it was just looking like a lot of stuff on the clusters to me. And I probably could have painted my wood veneer there in some sort of teal color, or I could have sprayed it, but I was working on this kind of last minute when I came back after Memorial Day weekend, because I didn't get it done before, and I had kind of a busy work schedule this week, so I knew I needed to get it done on Monday night or it wasn't going to happen. So tried to do it on Thursday, didn't work quite the way I thought it was going to. Anyway, you don't care about that so much. All right, here I'm going to do my journaling on my tag, and I have my wood veneers down. So the journaling will complete my layout. I will make sure to link Rachel's layout in the description here, and also you can go to the Work the Line playlist on my channel and see my other layout for this, and that will have a link to Rachel's layout as well in it too. So at the end of this, you will see a detail shot and a couple of still shots. I hope you are all well, and I'll be back with another video again soon. Bye!